Hey there, it's Lacey J, here to ask you to go to spacebearmedia.com right now to access all our content, buy yourself some merch, and most importantly, send us a message, a question, fan mail, even hate mail. We'll respond on YouTube. Also, please remember to rate and review the podcast on your favorite app or share it with someone you know who loves Lost. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Lost in my 40s.
Every season, it gets more and more extreme.
Yep. Good thing there's not a season 7.
I know.
I'm so excited. I'm sorry.
It'd be an orgasm on season 7.
She's like, I discovered a new octave in my voice for season 7.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, it's LAX Part 1. It's an originals episode. And as always, it's a Derek episode, the last of the first of the season. But first, how's everybody doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
Great.
Okay, Tony.
All right, Tony.
I'm thrilled to be back. I already have the bittersweet taste in my mouth that this podcast is going to come to an end. I cannot stop thinking about the free time. And then also how sad I'm going to be that I don't see you guys at these like regular intervals. I might just force you into semi like weekly Zoom calls so I can see your faces. Actually, Christy and I have that planned. The gals that we went to Dominican Republic with. We're going to start like Zoom call meetings every 6 weeks and then go somewhere every 3 years.
Yeah. Dudes don't do that.
Well, they could. You could do that. You literally could. Don't. You could. Anyways, you know, we don't have any power rankings.
Dudes don't do that.
Okay, well, you don't do that. I'm sure that there are dudes that are in groups of friends that go on vacations together.
We were going to do that.
I'm not talking about going on vacation together. Right. I'm talking about having Zoom calls together.
Oh, Zoom calls in between your vacations.
Right.
That's called their Friday night D&D game.
Yeah, you could do that too.
Yeah, now if you're getting together to play games, that's totally different. There's got to be a purpose. It can't just be calling to talk to somebody.
Oh my God.
What you doing?
The purpose is to catch up and is to let every person in the group who cannot bitch about certain things in other places come here and lay it on you. And then you give advice and then everybody feels good. Do men not do that? I think that's crazy. I think men should do
keep
that,
everything within and then they die of heart attacks. I mean, it's just the natural order of things.
No, you need to stop it. You sound like a fucking boomer. Stop it. We are middle-aged. You can be better than that, and you can call your friends, and you can tell them about your day if you so choose. I have stated it.
Sounds like you had put a little too much woke in your coffee.
Yeah. It was definitely not manly.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Ben,
God,
I had a bad day today.
Oh, my God, you too. All right. No, there are no power rankings to review at the moment because we have not started the season. But I will say I am pretty fucking psyched to see how this season goes. And I cannot wait for the super unofficial aggregate at the end of the series. Because I have a feeling something's going to happen and it's going to be glorious. Anyways, Derek, are you ready for season 6?
I am.
All right, you two. Have you completely, really forgotten what the fuck's going on here? The other two. Well, because the point was that Derek would not know. But now it's almost like the three of you are on the same ship.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing has come back since last time we
Right,
talked.
okay.
I'm still watching this, and I feel like for the first time, though, when I watched, not this first episode, but when I watched the second episode, I was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I had totally forgotten that.
Yeah, see, I remember.
I didn't remember any of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never watched it.
Good. Got it. Okay. Yeah. So this is very exciting. This is, of course, a controversial season. And then, of course, a controversial ending. There are still jackasses who don't get it. I am pumped and ready to give my defense of the ending of this show when we get there. But I guess we should start at the beginning. Derek, why don't you take us through LAX Part 1?
So it begins with the very first flash sideways,
Ooh.
number 1. Back in 2004 on Oceanic 815. Aboard that same flight, Jack gazes out the window at passing clouds. Cindy asks him how his drink is, and Jack unenthusiastically says it's good. Cindy says, it's not a very strong reaction, and Jack replies, well, it's not a very strong drink.
Scene feels familiar?
Slightly, but she gives him a single airline bottle of vodka
Oh,
and
that's
asks him
interesting.
not to tell anyone.
That's interesting. Did you notice that, Derek, when you were watching, or was it the fact that I italicized it in the
The fact
In
that
the
you
outline.
italicized it. That's a lot of episodes ago.
Okay, so until that moment, you're basically watching, the exact same scene that we've seen before, but in the original scene, she hands him 2 bottles because remember he has 2 on the island or in his jacket pocket or whatever. So there's like that minute difference right away if you notice it or if you have an italicized outline.
I just chalk up to inflation.
Yeah. No, it's that. It's
Oh, I see.
drink-
It's still 2004 though, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Not at the time they filmed it. It wasn't.
Oh, I see.
Right,
Like
yeah.
studio cost.
Yeah. They couldn't afford to have two bottles of alcohol on set, so they just gave him one. And they're like, "You're gonna have to do with it." They're like, "Where's another one?"
As if it wasn't like the show making the most money on television
Yeah.
probably at the time. But
Cindy, the actress, she was all like method. She's like, "I cannot do this. If there's not 2, I cannot do this."
Or she just drank it.
Yeah.
well, good for Cindy that she's back and we get to see some more of her.
Yeah.
That sounded like I meant she would be nude. I don't
know,
remember that
that's what I was
happening.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, where is that?
Where's
yeah,
the other
she's
bottle,
cute.
Cindy?
Oh no!
Little game of hide the vodka.
It's the midair version of a 3-hole.
There we go.
Anywho,
No, Jack says it'll be our secret.
Little 3-hole.
The plane shakes as he pours the vodka into his drink, causing him to spill a little. Jack buckles his seatbelt while the pilot announces they're running into some turbulence ahead. Across the aisle sits Rose, who assures Jack it's normal and jokes that her husband always says planes are meant to be in the air.
okay.
I don't think she says that's what she says. I think she says that
They
planes
want
want
to
to
be.
be in there.
They
Yeah,
want to be
you're
in
right.
the air.
They want to be in the air.
Yeah.
I don't think that planes want
Gravity
anything.
has other plans.
Yeah, you want the plane to want to be in the
Yes.
air.
And as long as you're not sitting by a door plug, you'll be fine.
I could have
I want
swore I put
the
want
planes
there.
to
I
have
think,
all of the bolts that they're supposed to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want about planes.
yeah, that helps. I think autocorrect did that to me. I think I did put want. I noticed later in one of these outlines, everywhere that I typed the man in black, somehow autocorrected it to the man in block.
Oh, I thought you
BLOCK.
did that on purpose because of lock. You know,
Oh, maybe I
black
did.
lock. I think you did that on purpose.
Oh, actually, you know what? I wrote that a while ago. Maybe I did do that on purpose.
I think you did it on purpose.
Because when I was reading it,
It makes
saw that,
sense,
I'm like,
doesn't it? Yeah,
yes.
that's true. Okay.
The
Never
way
mind.
it's spelled is like lock, but with a B at the beginning.
Yeah,
Right.
and I looked at it all today and I was like, why is it like that? And forgot I did it on purpose, I guess. I don't even get my own sense of humor anymore. What's happening to me?
Old
ADD
age.
brain.
Oh, good Lord. All right.
so
Just-
Jack laughs and says, sounds like a smart man. And Rose replies, you be sure and tell him that when he gets back from the bathroom. Jack says he'll keep her company until then, just as the plane shakes violently enough to knock luggage from the overhead. Jack grips his seat until the turbulence ends, and Rose says, "You can let go now."
Okay, so I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but I thought they did something really subtle here that I thought was interesting, because she delivers that line, "You can let go now," as he's gripping the seat. So that's like the obvious thing. But she didn't really say, "You can let go now." What she said was, "You can let go now." That is a completely different tone of voice. And I think delivers a completely different message. I mean, really, where are we, right? We talked about a lot about the time travel and about how one of the solutions to time travel, other than the Novikov consistency principle, is the multiverse, right? So did the bomb go off? Are we in like the fucking multiverse? Is that why there's subtle changes or something? Or did they all die, or have they been dead the whole time? No. Did they
Purgatory.
did they all die in the bomb, or like where are they now, or what is this side quest that they're on? And I feel like the way that she says that, it was in a tone of voice of like trying to soothe someone into letting a big thing go, not like the grip of the seat. And I mean, look at what Jack, over 5 seasons, look at all the shit he's been trying to let go of. Look at the stuff Sawyer has and grown, and and it just feels like the tone of voice felt more like an overall message from the show than just let up on your grip. I don't know. Maybe I should watch it again. That was what I picked up on. And I remember having that feeling the first time I watched it, being like, wait, what was that? Exactly. Anyways, keep going.
And then he says, "Don't ever let go, Rose. Don't ever let go. Rose." No, but she has to tell him twice before he sighs and eases up on his grip. And Jack says, "Looks like we made it." And Rose replies, "Yeah, we sure did." It. A bell dings and the pilot apologizes for the bumpy ride, promising it should be smooth the rest of the way.
Giggity.
Uh-huh. Bernard returns from the bathroom and says, "Remind me to hold it next time, will you? I almost died in the bathroom. Now I know how laundry feels in the dryer."
I'm not holding it from Australia to LA.
No. They have handles in there you can hold on to. So. Rose replies, "I missed you." Oh. Bernard responds in kind and calls her beautiful, and they share a kiss.
And she whispers into his ear, "You're just a dentist."
Jack gets up and goes to the bathroom, and while inside, he scrutinizes himself in the mirror, noticing a tiny shaving cut on his neck. Returning to his seat, he finds Desmond in his row. Desmond says, "Listen, mate, do you mind if I sit here? It's just the fella next to me has been snoring ever since we took off from Sydney." Jack chuckles and says that's fine as he moves to his window seat. Desmond says, "Thanks, brother." And Jack's face becomes unnerved, and he looks at Desmond.
Yeah, what Derek, why is Desmond on the plane?
Why is he on the plane?
I'm asking you, man.
It's a good question.
But also, by this point in time, Jack and Desmond had met, because they met before Australia happened.
Of course. Right. So is that what they mean? Have I met you before? Was it in the stadium, or have I met you before because we were trapped on an island together and I was pushing a button in a hatch? But also, why is he on 815? That's not right. That's not a liquor bottle mistake.
Just wait, it gets better. Desmond notices this right away and asks if something is wrong. And Jack says, No, you just... He pauses momentarily and then sighs, asking, "Do I know you from somewhere?" So Desmond chuckles and says he's not sure. He holds out his hand and introduces himself. Jack takes his hand and does the same. And Desmond says, "Nice to meet you, Jack, or to see you again." Jack laughs and then sighs as the camera pans out the window and down. The camera plummets into the ocean and continues to pan, showing the island wholly submerged in the Pacific Ocean.
What?
Say what? The camera continues over the island past the sushi fence.
Any five-letter S word, remember? And I figure since we were underwater, that the sushi fence made sense. I find myself hilarious.
So you also see the Dharma Initiative barracks, and finally, Tauret's four-toed foot can be seen on what used to be the shore. Now it's entirely underwater with a Dharma shark circling it.
And it basically sounds like the soundtrack moved over to Danny Elfman during this whole scene.
Yes, it was very dramatic.
Yeah. And we made it to the lost title screen in page 2. All right. 8 more to go.
Seriously.
Jesus.
So we're in 1977 on the island, and we're rewatching the final moments of season 5.
Oh, shit. You know what I just thought of as you're making fun of 8 more pages to go? I know half of you listeners didn't listen to the episode 0 podcast where we talked about the time commitment that it takes to make this insane thing that we do for fun. But I just thought of something else. We didn't even mention that's on my to-do list. Fun facts. I sit for hours and research those sometimes to get you guys fun facts. Sorry.
Gilgamesh.
Oh, wow. So she just throws it right back in my face.
Gilgamesh.
Oh, my God. All right. 1977.
So Jack holds the Jughead core over the swan shaft. The incident begins, resulting in Juliet being pulled down the shaft by some chains. They force us to watch Sawyer try and fail to save her again. Juliet falls into the shaft and then bashes the warhead. The explosion happens and then everything turns white.
The explosion happens and then everything turns white.
Turns
wow.
white. Yes.
See the amount of like phrasing here. Jesus.
Bashes the
I
warhead.
wasn't even trying to be ridiculous,
warrior.
but it
You don't have to, Lacey.
Juliet, I seriously wrote without any hint of
Irony
what I had
here.
done. Juliet falls into the shaft and then bashes the warhead. The explosion happens and everything turns white.
That was Sawyer falls at Jughead.
God.
I mean, Sawyer's got nicknames for everybody. Somebody can have a nickname
my
for
Jughead.
his shaft.
I'm sure he does. Wow. Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry. I just, you clearly see what's inside of me.
Hopefully not tamales.
Oh my God.
No, those all came out.
Yeah.
Also, you should have listened to the first podcast. You would have got that joke. Sorry. Let's keep going.
Now we're now it's 2007 on the island, and we cut to Kate's eye that has white stuff in it. She's like,
Oh my God.
She's regaining consciousness and discovers she's in a tree by nearly falling out of it.
That's a terrifying way to wake up.
Yes, and it's a callback to season 1 too.
Yeah.
Kate in tall trees.
Yeah.
We see another callback to season 1 in the second episode that is out today. We'll get there eventually.
Okay, all sound is muffled as she just barely hangs on. Grunting, she climbs down and calls out to anyone who can hear. This causes a pain in her head and she rubs her ears. The ringing quiets a bit and she looks around and calls out again. Hello? Miles replies, hey, and Kate tackles him to the ground. He says, it's okay, it's me, Miles. Kate wants to know what happened and where they are, and Miles yells, I can't hear you. Are your ears ringing?
Did anybody else notice that Miles didn't say something jerky and sexual to her when she tackled him?
Like, ooh, that's hot.
Yeah, instead
That's
he's
true.
reassuring her. It's okay, Kate, it's me.
Damn, I don't think I didn't pay close enough attention to that, and it might have changed my rankings in this podcast, had I? All right, well, I mean,
because when she tackled him, the first thing I thought of was like, oh, so we're going to do this right now, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So Miles has grown, but Ben has not.
It's not requisite of me. I'm not a character in this show, so I don't need to grow.
He doesn't need character growth.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. But yeah, congrats to you, Miles.
So Kate notices the doors to the Swan Station hidden in the vines. She walks over and examines them. Miles inquires about what she's looking at, and Kate says, we're back. She
Ooh.
runs to where the hatch was being built to find it completely obliterated. A confused Miles asks if that's the construction site, and Kate says, no, that's the Swan hatch, after Desmond blew it up.
Uh-oh.
Miles responds, guess we're not in 1977, huh? Kate notices Jack and Sawyer lying in the grass and runs to Jack's aid. Kate calls his name, and Jack shakes his head and wakes up. He asks where they are, and Kate tells him the hatch.
I think
Jack-
it's a little telling that Jack and Sawyer are laying unconscious,
Mm-hmm.
and she runs to Jack.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Interesting, isn't it?
Jack gets up, looks into the crater, and says, what, they built it? As Kate confirms they did build this hatch, Sawyer wakes up with a grunt.
Ruh-roh.
Yep.
Ruh-roh.
Well, damn, after turning everything white, he's tired.
Oh, my God.
He takes in the scene and promptly kicks Jack in the face, knocking him into the crater. Sawyer yells, you were wrong! And then he climbs down into the crater and gets to give Jack a beating while screaming at him. That's the damn Swan hatch, blown up just as we left it before he started jumping through time. You said we could stop it from ever getting built, that our plane would never crash on the island. Kate is screaming for Sawyer to stop. He doesn't. And he says, this ain't LAX. It blew us right back to where we started, except Juliet's dead. She's dead, you son of a bitch, because you were wrong.
Oof.
A bloody...
Julia played her part in that. She made her own decisions, but yeah, Jack's
she was
the only
banging
one
the
there to
warhead.
blame.
Yeah.
She did bang the warhead, yeah. But Jack is the only one there, I suppose, to blame.
Yeah.
So far.
A bloodied, shocked, and sorrowful Jack says, Sawyer, I'm sorry. I thought we were supposed to. I thought it would work. And a grief-stricken Sawyer replies, well, it didn't.
I was sitting here thinking, well, more than Jack thinking that it was going to work, the whole thing was Dan Faraday's idea.
Oh,
And
yeah.
being the physicist,
True.
you would think that he would have a pretty good idea of things.
Well, yeah, but he doubted
He's
himself
been
in the
studying
end.
it his whole...
He's right, but then he suddenly, I think he wanted to believe in the variable, but it looks like there wasn't one.
Yeah.
Also not there to blame. So all the ire directed toward Jack.
Okay, so we're in Flash Sideways number 2, which is back in 2004 on Oceanic 815. Jack walks to the airplane bathroom and asks the marshal if he's in line. He says that he's only waiting for his friend. Just then, Kate bursts out of the door and bumps into Jack. She quickly apologizes. Jack chuckles and says, it's okay.
Who
Well,
comes
explain
out
it
of
as
a
she did-
bathroom like that? It was like some high-speed shit. She just like threw herself out of it.
It was really rank what she did in there. And she was trying to get out in a hurry.
Yeah, she wanted to get out of there quick.
I
She
mean,
had-
Bernard had just been in there, so, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it could have been tamales?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, I suppose she just could be that conniving that she was going to burst out no matter what, hoping she could bump into somebody and steal whatever the fuck she could steal. I suppose.
That's the old, steal the pen routine. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So while explaining that she didn't see him there, Kate sneakily steals a pen from Jack's pocket. The marshal says, let's get back to our seats, sweetheart.
Ew.
They sit down, and the marshal gives Kate a meal tray. She says, lasagna. Must be in first class.
Yeah.
Get peanuts. He snatches the metal cutlery from the tray and says, no knife and fork for you, honey. Kate wonders if he thinks she's going to stab him and just run, just as someone brushes the marshal as they pass. The marshal says, hey, watch where you're going, buddy. Kate puts her handcuffed hands under the table as Sawyer turns around, and they share a meaningful look. He says, sorry, my bad.
They got him really looking back into the kind of older, greasier, schmarmier Sawyer look.
I don't know that he's any greasier. I mean, the island, he was clearly greasier with all that coconut oil.
Yeah, but I don't mean greasy in the literal sense. I mean like greasy, slimy con man sort of, just the way the hairstyling and even the way he's holding himself. Like now I feel like he's presented so much softer, just the way that
Oily
like,
bohunk.
Yeah, well, and I don't know. I think it looks good. It looks like it was the old Sawyer and that this was really filmed a long time ago. Maybe that's,
they did a good job.
Should
with
be,
it.
yeah, and credit to the actor as well.
So Sawyer returns to his seat where Leslie Arts pesters a resistant Hurley to do an impression of a character in his Mr. Cluck's commercial. He says, "Come on, just do the Australian accent and I'll leave you alone."
How about you just leave me the fuck alone because I told you to leave me the fuck alone.
Seriously.
The way he's like leaning over the
If you don't
seat
stop, I'm
too.
going to throw some dynamite at you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If somebody came over and like leaned over my seat like that too into my space, I'd just kick them in the face or the gut.
Yeah, I'd be like, you are really in my personal space and I need you to move.
I wouldn't because I don't want to get arrested, but I would think about kicking them in the face.
I would probably start yelling.
I might say, back the fuck up, bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
I would say nothing. I would simply punch them in the throat.
Right. I mean, in my imaginary head,
And
I
then you'd
would.
be on TikTok and the internet, and it's like, oh, look at that guy.
I'm like, oh, my husband was duct taped to a plane seat the other day. Did you guys see that on the news?
Go, Brandon.
Oh, no.
So Hurley gives in, and in an Australian accent, he says, "Oi, have a cluckety-cluck day, mate."
Oh, boy.
Arts cracks up and announces to anyone who'll listen, "You know who this is? This is the owner of Mr. Cluck's Chicken, and he's back here riding coach with the rest of us yutzes." Sawyer says, "How about that?" Arts wonders how a guy like Hurley is the owner of Mr. Cluck, and Hurley says, "I won the lottery and like chicken, so I bought it." Arts is impressed and he gets up and walks down the aisle.
I think that he looked really unimpressed, actually.
Unimpressed, yeah. That's what I would think. Sort of like,
You thought so?
That's all there is to the story.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess he did do that.
Yeah,
But,
Arts
like, what
is
does he
unimpressed.
expect? What does he expect? It's a chicken. What kind of fucking origin story do you want for owning a fast food restaurant?
Ask
I don't
Colonel
know.
Sanders.
I don't know that you're a meth cook from South America. Like all kinds of things could happen when you open a chicken joint.
I mean, that would be a better backstory, but I have a feeling you wouldn't be like chatting about it on the airplane.
Probably not.
Did you guys know that
Sawyer
Yutz is a Yiddish word?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Okay.
Right.
My grandpa
So is,
spoke Yiddish.
Schmuck.
Yeah, schmuck. Yep.
When the movie Dinner for Schmucks came out a very long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
I went to go see my primary care doctor, and he was an older Jewish man, and he's like, "Have you seen this movie Dinner for Schmucks? Do you know what schmuck means in Yiddish? It means a dick."
It means a dick. That's
Dinner for
perfect.
dicks.
That's what my doctor told me. I'm going to take his word for it. But, I was just like, I did not realize that. So
I don't
thank
know if I
you.
knew that either. My grandpa was fluent in Yiddish, so I used to hear it all the time, but I don't know what, it means. Let's see if I do schmuck Yiddish. That schmuck, Yiddish slang. This just says stupid, foolish, obnoxious, contemptible, or detestable. Oh, hold on.
It also
It
means
has a similar
warhead.
pejorative. It has similar pejorative meanings, but where its literal meaning is a vulgar term for a penis.
It's a dick.
There you
It
go.
means a dick.
It's a dick.
Schmuck
It's a dick.
in Yiddish. Yes, I was worried that maybe your doctor was having some personal issues with his own penis there for a second.
I don't want to think about Larry.
But
I don't-
no, it's not his penis that is stupid, foolish, obnoxious, contemptible, and detestable. It is just pejorative. Cool. All right. Well, anyways.
All right. Good. Nice Yiddish lesson.
Yeah, because somebody said yuts. Now we're looking up schmuck. I mean, we're just
Right.
Mini fun facts.
Schmuck means dick.
Oh my goodness.
So Sawyer turns to Hurley to warn him not to share his lottery win with strangers, saying it'll make them try to take advantage of him. Hurley says, "Thanks for the advice, dude, but it's not going to happen." Sawyer replies, "It's not, huh?" And before putting on his headphones and smiling bigly, Hurley says, "Nope, nothing bad ever happens to me. I'm the luckiest guy alive."
How'd you end up in coach?
Say what? Yeah, it's like the opposite.
Because Hurley's just a regular bro.
Yeah.
Hanging
He's
out
not
with
a first
the
class.
Yutzes.
Yeah, he's not a first class guy. Likes to hang out with the Yutzes. He's a man of the
Schmuck.
people.
What
He's
a
fucking
schmuck.
mayor of Islandtown.
The Schlemiels.
The mayor of Islandtown sits with the people. Ben.
All right.
So now in 2007 on the island, Hurley wakes up next to a Dharma van with Saeed's head resting on him. The bullet wound in Saeed's abdomen is still bleeding. Hurley loudly asks, "What just happened?" Jin steps out of the van and says he found a flashlight. Hurley says, "Dude, who cares? The sky just went from day to night. What happened?" Jin replies, "I think we moved through time. White flash, headache, can't hear. Happened to me before."
It's like old,
Yeah,
old
no
hat
problem,
at it.
yeah.
Yeah, we flashed through time, guys. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
No biggie.
Yeah.
Not a big deal at all.
It
Happens all the time.
happens from
Yeah.
time to time, sometimes in fast intervals, sometimes not. Don't worry.
Hurley wants to know if everyone else moved through time as well, and Jin says he doesn't know. They took one of the other vans to the worksite, and then he heard gunfire. Hurley shushes him, and they can hear Sawyer shouting at Jack, and Jin tells Hurley to stay with Saeed and then takes off. At the hatch crater, Jack insists the bomb must have gone off, and Sawyer says, "You think an atom bomb went off, we'd still be standing here?" When Jack admits he doesn't know, Sawyer screams, "That's right, you don't. For once, you don't know." Jin shows up to say that Saeed is bleeding to death and he needs Jack. Kate hears a muffled, weak voice say, "Help, help me."
What? What?
What? Right next to a nuke? And she's still alive?
It's covered
Sawyer-
covered in baby powder because it all went white.
Actually, it's amazing when they get down there, when Sawyer finally gets down there, and there is like there's like blood on every bit of her face except the very center circle where she just looks beautiful and just gorgeous and made up.
It helps her
It's-
complexion.
It's pretty amazing.
So while Sawyer wonders if Jack has another great idea to save Saeed, Kate inspects the sounds. He says, "Maybe there's a nuke lying around." Kate yells for him to shut up, and then everyone hears Juliet say, "Help." Sawyer starts tearing metal away and screaming her name. She responds, "James." Kate says, "Oh my God." You spell
Oh my
it like
goodness.
that. An astonished Sawyer screams, "Juliet!"
Oh goodness.
So back at the van, Saeed coughs, gags, wheezes, and coughs again. Hurley says, oh God, this is gross. Don't worry, dude. Everything's going to be fine." Yeah, you tell me.
Is that so?
Yeah, weak Saeed squeaks out, "When I die, what do you think will happen to me?" And Hurley
Oh, boy.
says, thinks Saeed shouldn't try to talk, but Saeed ignores him.
He's having an existential moment right now.
Yeah.
And
Electrical
continues-
function will cease in your brain. Your cells will start to die. You'll decompose. Outside of that,
Well-
I don't know. I got nothing
Yeah.
for you, buddy.
I mean, in the real world, yeah, but in the lost world, anything can happen.
Who knows? Yeah, right.
So he says, "I've tortured more people than I can remember. I murdered. Wherever I'm going, it can't be very pleasant. I deserve it." Hurley says, "Saeed, come on." A rustling in the bushes can be heard, and Hurley calls out to Jin. Saeed is wheezing, and then the leaves rustle again. Hurley picks up a gun and yells, "I've got a gun." Hurley struggles to cock the gun, so whoever in the bushes knows he's not very serious. Hurley lies and says, "I know how to shoot it." He gets up and moves towards the noise. The rustling starts again, and then the footsteps are behind him.
What, bro?
He turns slowly to see Jacob standing there, and he says, "Hello, Hugo. You got a minute?"
Oh my
Not really. This
Yeah,
guy's
this guy's
bleeding out
bleeding
over
to death
here.
over
Not
here,
really,
yeah.
no. I love this
Just travel
scene.
through time. You know?
This scene is so great. And Jacob, he gives him kind of like a sheepish little wave, like a
Yeah.
hello.
Hey, it's me.
And like from Hurley's perspective, what in the fuck is going on here? Like, aren't you the guy from the cab? Why are you here? Like, what is even going on? But of course, Hurley as ever, just rolls with it. All right, what's going on, dude?
So in Flash Sideways number 3, back on Flight 815 in 2004, Sun smiles in her seat while she watches Rose and Bernard laugh with each other. Speaking Korean to each other, Jin wonders why Sun is staring. Sun says, they just seem so happy. So Jin looks down at Sun's chest and says, button your sweater. She complies.
Button your sweater,
Okay.
you slut.
Yeah, Harrison Butker says, button it.
I'd like the other Jin back, please. I don't like this timeline.
Yeah. So Locke is looking at the airline leaflet about emergency procedures, because that's what everyone does. Asleep next to him is Flaming Frogurt. And on the other side of Frogurt sits Booth.
Oh, hey, Booth.
Oh,
Who
hey,
says,
Mark.
you're wasting your time, man. The plane goes down the ocean way out here. I think our chances of survival are exactly 0.
Well, yours were. I mean, eventually.
Locke replies, actually in calm seas with a good pilot, we could survive a water landing. And the fuel tanks are buoyant enough to keep us afloat until we get into life rafts.
This is why you have no friends, Locke.
Except the wings are going to get ripped off the second it hits the water. Like, that's one of the first things that's going to go.
Just ask Sully Sullenberger about that.
Yeah.
That wasn't a
fucking-
river that had a lot, not in the middle
Yeah.
of the freaking Atlantic.
Little bit
or the
different.
ocean.
Exactly.
So Booth grins widely and Locke stops talking to ask why. And Booth says, no, it's just impressive you know that. You obviously don't get out very often.
He didn't say
No. He goes, what were you doing in Australia? Business or pleasure? Locke tells him pleasure. Booth tells Locke he went to Australia to get his sister out of a bad relationship, but she didn't want to leave.
So I
So
fucked
now
her
he's
and
on
came
this
home.
plane.
Sorry.
Mhm. Locke says he went on a walkabout, and Booth asks, really? Like Crocodile Dundee?
Hope he breaks. That man's a national treasure.
Locke laughs and says, no, not exactly, but it was pretty intense. We spent 10 days in the outback and nothing but our packs and our knives. We slept under the stars and made our own fires, hunted our own food. Booth is amazed, saying he can't make it 2 days without a cell phone. Loser.
I'm just trying
wonders
to trying to imagine Locke with like a knife or a spear chasing after like whatever the fuck is there. I don't even know what they would hunt.
Kangaroos.
Like in a wheelchair. Like, how does that work?
Right.
I feel like in a wheelchair versus a kangaroo is potentially a very harmful disadvantage.
Oh, yeah.
Because those kangaroos are mean and they will fucking hit you. I've seen videos.
I've seen
of it.
videos of that, like they're in a zoo
Yeah.
and the kangaroo just starts going after this guy for nothing. It's like,
Yeah.
And some of them are jacked as fuck. They look like
Dude,
they like
yeah,
oh, they're
work out.
ripped. Yeah.
Yeah. They're strong animals.
Yeah. Australia has the best animals.
Yeah, I hear that if you're in the water with a kangaroo, they try to drown you.
Really?
They try
Yeah.
to make them seem so nice and docile.
Well, they'll do that to like family, like dogs and things like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a raccoon will do that to your dog too. Drag him
Is
to
it
the
like
creek and
wallabies
drown
are
him.
wallabies are really peaceful, right? Like the wallabies are the cool ones. It's the kangaroos that are kind of dicks.
I honestly don't know. I just know that kangaroos can be aggressive. It's not like it. And the thing is, they're so calm. It's like they're like deer here. Could you
They
imagine?
are basically deer. I think you go
Yeah,
back a couple million years, and they probably were the same animal at some
Well,
point.
now I'm gonna have to look that up. But
No, they were on the ark together 6,000 years ago.
But could you imagine if you were just like walking through the forest and instead of being like, oh, look, a deer, you were like, fuck, and it's coming at you with punches? Like, what the hell? That's not what? Oh, I really want to go to
You just made
Australia.
me think about little bunny Foo-Foo walking through the forest,
Oh,
Little bunny
gets
foo-foo,
bopped in the
yeah.
head.
Yep.
scooping up the field mice and bopping them on the head.
Yep. All right, guys.
So Boone wonders if Locke is pulling his leg. He can't use his. But Locke questions why he'd do that. Booth laughs and says, "This thing goes down, I'm sticking with you." And Locke gives him a big thumbs up.
That
It's
would
a
be a fatal
trap.
error.
He's like, well,
Don't do it.
that is a sacrifice that fate demands, I suppose.
Yep. So back on the island in 2007, inside Jacob's chamber in the statue, the fire crackles. Ben stands over the fire, staring motionless. The man in block picks up the bloody knife Ben used to stab Jacob. He tears off a fabric from the rug and uses it to clean the knife. He tells a visibly disturbed Ben, "You can stop staring at the fire. Jacob's gone. He's gone." "He's gone," Ben replies. "Why didn't he fight back? Why did he let me just kill him?" And the man in block guesses that Jacob knew he was beaten and tells Ben to go outside to get Richard. He needs to talk to him. Ben asks, "Talk to him about what?" And the man in block replies, "None of your beeswax." That's between me and Richard.
Oh my goodness. What do you think about Benjamin Linus here? Like it's very again subtle sort of performance, but like I think he's just soaking in like what the fuck
Exactly. Yeah, that's why he's staring at the fire. He's like, "What the fuck did this happen?
What did I
here?"
just do?" Like, have you ever made a mistake to like something and you're just like, "Oh my God, I can't go back." And it's sinking in and
Nothing like that. I
well,
mean, but
God,
yeah,
of course
he's
not.
completely shell shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yep.
And he hasn't even had the reveal yet. He still thinks it's Locke. And he's in shock. Oh, I'm doing too much rhyming. Let's continue.
Yeah. So outside, Alpert and Bram are arguing. Richard tells him there is no other reason. Bram insists that's not how it's going to be, and Alpert insists Bram is not going in there. He asks Bram to just back up a little, okay? A little away from them. Son asks, "Lapidus!"
Lapidus.
Who Bram and his group are, and he tells her, "Other than the fact that I know they were on the Ajira flight with us, all I know is they knocked me out, dragged my ass to some cabin, which they promptly burned, then brought me here along with the dead guy in the box. And they say they're the good guys." So Bram starts to walk towards the statue, but Richard stops him and says that no one goes in there unless Jacob invites them. Ooh.
Oh.
Ilana says, "Richard, that's why we're here. Jacob invited us." Richard snaps back, "Asking me what's in the shadow of the damn statue doesn't mean you're in charge.
Oh. Well, okay, Richard.
Go back to the kitchen."
Butt kiss.
Butt kiss, yeah. She asks, "Then who is?" Ben steps down for some rocks onto the beach, panting, calling for Richard. He says, "Everything's fine. John wants to speak to you." Ilana wants to know if Jacob is all right, and Ben says, "I'm sorry, who are you?"
Even though he's shell shocked, he's still like maybe he's just trying to regain his composure and his control.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So Richard demands, "Answer her question, Ben." And Ben lies and says, "Jacob is fine. He's just warming up in the fire." He and John are inside, and John wants to speak to
He's
Richard.
warm and toasty.
Yep.
Oh, God. Poor Jacob.
So he and John are inside, and John wants to speak to Richard. Alpert grabs Ben and starts dragging him across the beach. Ben is confused and doesn't understand what Richard is doing. Still dragging Ben, Richard says, "Well, I'm happy to talk to John, but before I do, maybe you should talk to him first." And Alpert throws Ben into the sand right next to John Locke's dead body, half dumped out of the cargo container. What?
Shit.
And Ben promptly loses his composure again.
So at the hatch hole, Sawyer, Kate, Jack, Miles, and Jen are digging through the wreckage. Sawyer screams, "Hang on, Juliet, we're coming." Jen hands Jack the flashlight, and he shines it into the hole. Why is hole so funny? I don't know why. There's a massive I-beam in the way. Sawyer can't move. He says, "It's too heavy. We need something to pull it." "Jen, the van, there's chains in it. Go get them." And Jen takes off running. In the jungle, Hurley follows Jacob back to Saeed and the van. He says, "Where are you going, dude? And what are you doing here? I mean, I met you in a taxi, and you know everything about me, and you gave me a plane ticket, which just so happens to get me back to the island. How did you know that was going to happen?" Jacob is looking down at Saeed and doesn't answer. Hurley says, "Hello, can you hear me? Why aren't you answering my questions?" Jacob kneels next to Saeed, and Hurley tells him that Jen will be back any second. Jacob says, your friend Jin won't be able to see me. What?
Oh.
Hurley questions why, and Jacob says, because I died an hour ago.
Oh.
Hurley replies, sorry, dude, that sucks. That's what you always tell someone who just died. So how did you die? And Jacob tells him that he was killed by an old friend who grew tired of his company.
Oh, that's one way to get rid of a guest, I suppose.
Throw him in the fire.
Enough.
Hurley
out the door or in the fire. Those are the choices.
Hurley contemplates this momentarily and then asks, you want me to do something crazy again, don't you? Jacob tells him no, that he needs Hurley to save Saeed. He says, Jin can't help him. You need to take Saeed to the temple. The what? That's the only chance he's got, and the rest of them will be safe there. Hurley doesn't know what the temple is, and Jacob tells him that Jin knows. He says, tell him to take you to the hole in the wall where he was with the French team. Through that opening, you can get into the temple. Still have the guitar case I gave you? Bring it. Hurley asks, who are you, dude? When Jacob says his name, Hurley's eyes widen bigger than those of Benjamin Linus.
What? It's a big moment for Hurley. Wait a second. I've been following this guy and it's Jacob? Hold on.
So Jin comes running out of the jungle to say they need to get Saeed to the van. Juliet needs her help. Hurley looks around and Jacob has disappeared. He helps Jin get Saeed into the van and they drive off. Inside the van, Hurley says, Jin, if I ask you to take me to where there's like a hole in the wall where you went with the French team, would you know what I'm talking about? Jin thinks for a moment and then confirms he does. And Hurley says,
can't
good.
Stop picturing like a glory hole French brothel right now.
Oh my God.
There's a place in France where the naked ladies dance. There's a hole in the wall.
Where the men watch them all. That's a sick song, as most nursery rhymes are. But yeah, it's go to the hole in the wall with the French team. I was like, oh, that sounds odd.
So the Swan Crater.
A goopy fruit hole. Sorry. Oh my God.
So at the Swan Crater, the group hears the van approaching. Jack says he'll get the chain. Miles drops his shovel and follows Jack. Sawyer is still trying to move the beam, but Kate stops him, saying the chains are coming. Sawyer is scared because Julie isn't making any more noise. Kate thinks she's resting because she knows they're coming. Jin tosses one end of the chain into the crater. Jack picks it up. Sawyer looks towards Jack and says, if she dies, I'll kill him.
Looked like he was trying to do it with his eyes right in that moment.
And he didn't have to cock a gun to let you know he was deadly
he looked pretty
serious.
serious.
Yeah. So flash sideways number 4, back on flight 815. Jack sits in his seat row 24.
Oh, there's another difference. There are several. I picked out a few of them to put in the outline. I know all the losties that are listening to this podcast can probably rattle off every single one.
Like, those are so obvious. Come on.
Yeah.
So Cindy makes an announcement asking if there's a doctor on board the plane. Jack presses his call button and she comes over to ask him to follow her. As they walk down the aisle, she tells him a passenger entered the bathroom 30 minutes ago and isn't answering when they knock.
Well, gee, I wonder who that could be.
Mm-hmm. They get to the door and another...
I have no idea why I sounded like someone from Oz all of a sudden.
It was sort of like that. And it was sort of like the church lady, too.
It was like if the church lady joined the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
So they get to the door.
I don't know how I found myself in such a silly mood, but it's a great way to start season 6.
Smoke them if you got them.
Okay.
So they get to the door, and another airline employee says they think whoever's in there has tampered with the lock. Saeed comes up to offer assistance. They all stare at him for a second, and he says, "Excuse me," and kicks the door open. That's what you do. Jack checks the pulse of the man inside.
I guess.
Yep. Jack checks the pulse of the man inside wearing a familiar ring, and the camera pans to show an unconscious Charlie Pace.
Oh, Charlie. It's nice to have him back a little bit. Even if he is trying to kill himself in the bathroom.
Cindy
I
rushes
love
to
how
the
later
back.
he says, I was supposed to die in there. We can talk about more about that being a little profound as well. But if you were trying to commit suicide, why didn't you just take the heroin? Why did
That's
you
what I was going to say
swallow
after
the
I
bag
read
whole?
that. Just least
Why did you
died.
buy a plane ticket?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you
well,
want a
because he
plane?
was because he
He's
went
not
there to
flying
beg his.
Boeing.
Yeah.
But if you remember, he was in Australia begging his brother to help him,
Yeah.
get back into you want everybody.
So why didn't he just do it in the bathroom of his hotel?
Well,
Why did he
right,
get on
okay,
a
fine.
plane and do it?
All right, fine.
You gotta fuck up everyone else's experience. It's a long flight. People are gonna have to piss and shit, and you're gonna be the cocksucker that goes in there and kills yourself.
You remember the old Charlie Pace? That's not the Charlie Pace that we fell in love with. By the
didn't fall
time he
in love with
died.
him.
I did. I mean, I can't help it because he's also a hobbit. And yeah, I'm just,
So
it's
Cindy-
good to see hobbits getting work in Hollywood.
Like the Lollipop Guild.
Yeah, you like the Lollipop Guild.
So Cindy rushes to the back of the plane with medical supplies. Sawyer says, "What's going on back there, Earhart?" She tells him
Earhart?
everything is fine. She tells him everything is fine and that people should stay seated. Sawyer replies, "Yeah, looks peachy." At the bathroom, Jack is telling Saeed that he needs his help. He hands Saeed a breathing pump from the supplies and tells him to hold it over Charlie's mouth, not letting air escape. Well, the heroin bag's doing a good job for that. Saeed complies and Jack starts pumping. He says, something's blocking his air package. His air passage. Jack reaches into Charlie's mouth, but he can't get to the blockage. He says, "Gonna have to open it up. I need something sharp, a razor." 9/11, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Anybody got a box cutter back there? Cindy is frantically looking, but can't find what they need because it's against regulations. Jack remembers that he has a pin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Saeed says, "A pin?" Jack is
Then you
searching.
hear, ooh, 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 ooh. And you see Booth running up. He goes, "I finally got him."
So Jack is searching his jacket, but his pin is with Kate. Jack says, "Damn it." And he shoves his fingers down Charlie's throat, this time pulling out a bag of heroin.
Wouldn't it be great if instead, like, he reached down into the throat and he pulled out one of those death's head hawk moths, and then, like,
Oh, God.
from somewhere behind him, you hear, like, it rubs the lotion on its skin.
Not the hose again.
Or else it gets the hose again.
to fuck me?
Oh, I'd fuck me so
I'd fuck
hard.
I'd fuck me.
Goodbye, horses.
Anyways, that's for some reason what popped into my head when I was watching it.
Charlie gasps awake and says, "Am I alive?" Jack says, "Relax, just breathe. Yeah, you're alive." Charlie takes a massive, disappointed sigh and says, "Terrific." So 2007 on the island, Sawyer and Kate wrap the chain around the beam. Sawyer yells at Jen, "Hit it." The van starts pulling and everyone helps move the beam. Sawyer
Wrap the
grabs
chain around the beam sounds like something you'd play, like, during a 3-hole match.
If you're into like little bondage or something.
Maybe.
Whatever
Yeah,
you're
on the
into.
second hole, we wrap the chain around the beam. You see what I mean? It fits.
So Sawyer grabs the flashlight and climbs down to Juliet. He finds her and says, "Juliet, hey, I'm here. Come on, baby. Come on, wake up." Juliet opens her eyes and says, "Hi." A relieved Sawyer says, "Hey." She wants to know where they are, but he tells her not to worry about that yet. First, they need to get her out of there. She says, "It didn't work. We're still on the island." Sawyer's trying to comfort her, telling her he'll get her loose soon. And she says, "No, I hit the bomb and you're still here." You see Sawyer, who's very shocked.
Yeah.
Wants to know why she would do that.
The way he says, "You hit the bomb," it was just great on behalf of Sawyer and the actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She says she wanted him to be able to go home. She tried to make it so he would never have to go to this island. Juliet is crying now and says, "It didn't work." And Sawyer says, "Don't you worry about that. You're going to be okay. I'm going to get you out of here and we're going to go home together. You hear me?"
Huh?
Jack is at the van inspecting Saeed's wounds. He tells Hurley that even if he could get the bullet out, he can't stop the bleeding. Saeed is going to die. Hurley says, well, there's something I can do. There's a temple. If we can get Saeed there, we can save him.
Alrighty, let's do it.
Let's do it, MacGyver. Miles wants to know how Hurley knows this, and Hurley says a guy named Jacob told him just before they drove there. Miles inquires about who Jacob is, but annoyed Hurley says, does it matter? Can you fix Saeed, Jack? Jack says no, he can't, and Hurley replies, then you're going to have to let me do it. And Jack nods in agreement.
Yeah,
I
Hurley.
love how Hurley just
Yeah.
takes control. He was like, if you can't do it, I'm going to do it. I'm the mayor of Island Town.
Damn
I've got
right.
this.
It's like when he drove the van onto the beach.
Yeah.
Ran over some guys. Same sort of move, just slightly subtler.
So at the beach, a horrified and stunned Benjamin Linus stares at Locke's body.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred says, Ben, you need to talk to me. I can't stop them unless you tell me what happened in there. What happened to Jacob? Ben remains silent, so Alfred continues, you and I have known each other for 30 years. Ben, I'm asking you this as a friend. Ben snaps. You want to know what happened, Richard? Why don't you go inside and find out? So Bram grabs Ben and starts dragging him across the beach, and Richard wants to know what he's doing, and Bram says, we're going in, and he's coming with us. So Bram and the three others enter the statue foot, pushing Ben inside in front of them, and the man in block is patiently waiting inside. He asks for Richard, and Ben says he's not coming. Bram and the three others walk in, rifles at the ready. Bram asks, where's Jacob? And the man in black replies, Jacob is dead. The men point their rifles at the man in black and cock them so he knows that they're very serious.
Doesn't matter, but
Right.
I guess he's been warned.
Yep. Bram demands to know who he is, and the man in black says, don't worry about me. Let's talk about you. I'm assuming that you are, what, Jacob's bodyguards? And that you came all the way to this island to protect him. Well, I have good news. Jacob burned up right there in that fire. Therefore, there's nothing left for you to protect. You can go. You're free.
Whoa.
And they drop their guns and walk out and say, thanks, bye. Cool.
See
See you
ya.
later. So Bram shoots the man in black in the chest, sending him recoiling from the impact. Multiple gunshots are fired as the man in black runs behind a stone pillar. Bram screams, kill him, spread out, get him. Good
Every
instructions.
time I hear
Those
somebody in
lines.
a movie
Yeah.
say, get
Spread
him,
out. Everything's spread out. Yeah.
all I can think of is at the beginning of Ghostbusters
Yeah.
when Ray, they're in the library and Ray's like, get
Yeah.
her.
It was scientific.
So as Bram picks up the bullet that hit the man in block, he notices it's damaged from impact, but there's no blood on it. Yeah, those bullets aren't working very well.
Nah.
Confused, he turns around just as the smoke monster enters the room and says, what's up?
Did he? Wow.
Timing's about right.
It surrounds the four men. Benjamin Linus is terrified and cowering in the corner, which is not very much like him.
Well, he's just fucking realizing what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
Guns are fired, but the smoke monster makes easy work of the three of the men, killing them all. Bram quickly pours ash in a circle on the floor and stands inside. The circle protects Bram from the monster's direct advances towards him, so it dislodges a chunk of rock from the ceiling, which knocks Bram out of the circle of ash. Pretty smart monster.
Resourceful monster.
Yeah, very. The smoke monster grabs Bram and throws him through Jacob's loom. Bram dies impaled on a piece of wood.
Awesome.
Yep. A shocked and traumatized Benjamin Linus is still crouched in the corner. He cautiously gets up and moves to leave the statue when he hears footsteps behind him. Ben turns around to see the man in block standing there who says, I'm sorry you had to see me like that. Me like that. Benjamin Linus looks like he just shit his pants.
So we've got
Wow.
like a trinity here, right?
Yep.
It's Locke, it's the man in black, and it's the smoke monster. Nice.
So back at the hatch hole, Kate calls down, Sawyer, is she okay? Sawyer yells back that he's working on it as he struggles to lift an iron girder from Juliet's legs. He tells her not to worry and hugs her. Juliet says, We can get coffee sometimes. We can go Dutch.
Uh-oh.
Sawyer says, Juliet, it's me. She replies, James, kiss me. He says, you got it, Blondie. And they share a kiss.
Oh.
Juliet
so
says,
sweet.
I have to tell you something. It's really, really important. Sawyer encourages her to tell him. She mouths something, but no words come out. Of course. She dies. And Sawyer says, Juliet, you tell me. He begins to cry and says, oh my God, before letting out a guttural moan and sobbing.
So, those motherfuckers made us relive her
Yeah.
death for the second time. They did that shit with Charlie, too, when we had to relive it when Hurley had to tell
Right.
everyone. I'd like to just get at those heartstrings.
So Jack, Miles, Hurley, and Kate watch as Sawyer brings Juliet's body to the surface. And with some huge daggers in his eyes, he looks at Jack and says, you did this.
Oh, yeah. Looks could kill, man.
Oh,
man.
no.
Yep. So flash sideways, number 5. As Charlie is handcuffed and led to his seat, he passes Jack and angrily says, should have let that happen, man. I was supposed to die. Cindy tells Jack not to worry about it. Some people don't know how to say thank you. Jack returns to his seat to find Desmond is gone. Where'd he go?
Where'd he
asks
come
Rose
from?
and Bernard if they know where he went, and Rose says they were asleep.
Does anybody else catch again? There's like all these little callbacks to season 1, and this Charlie with the "I was supposed to die." It's like Locke's words. This wasn't supposed to happen this way, or we're supposed to do this, and like it's just these tiny little. I don't want to say Easter eggs because that's kind of has a different definition, but I guess callbacks are appropriate, where they just sort of bringing you back to those early seasons through little lines or scenes or
He
whatever.
was supposed to die in the water.
Right. Well, I guess we
can't swim.
I think they'd be good swimmers because they have giant feet. They basically have like flippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing.
So they'd probably be pretty quick. I don't know, Ben. Is it canon? Can the hobbits swim? I'm not sure.
I'm only saying that because in the episode where the shitty lifeguard Boone was like yelling for help, and Charlie was yelling for help. I don't know. One of them was yelling for help because Joanna was drowning.
Mm-hmm.
And Charlie said, "I can't swim." So that's
I know
why I said
that's a
hobbits can't
controversy
swim.
because then he does swim later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tolkien Gateway says, well, few hobbits could swim and they were known to be afraid of rivers and boats, let alone of the sea, a token fear and death for them, which few had ever seen. So they do go in the rivers. I mean, you see Gollum in the films, like he swims down to get the ring and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like they're not big
Gollum
water folk.
Wasn't a hobbit,
He was one of the river folk.
Well, he was one of
wasn't
the
a
river
hobbit.
folk, which are essentially hobbits.
but you would think the river folk would be able to
Know how to
swim in
swim.
the river.
That's
You
why they're
would think
called
so.
river folk. Yeah, you think.
Right.
Well, that's why they're not river folk anymore. They became hobbits. Obviously, they just like the water. Therefore,
Yeah.
they're no longer river folk. Now they're land folk.
Are we writing Tolkien fan fiction right now? All right, Derek, take us through the end of the episode, please.
So an announcement comes over the PA. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Norris here. We're now beginning our final descent to Los Angeles International Airport. I'm happy to tell you it's a beautiful day in Los Angeles, 72 degrees, 6 miles visibility, and winds out of the northwest at 5 miles an hour. I'll be putting on the fasten seatbelt sign now. We'll be on the ground in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for flying Oceanic Air.
Derek, you probably should have been a pilot.
Actually, I am. It's not a commercial
That's true.
pilot.
I don't know. You got the announcements down. Learning, flying the plane is just another thing.
It's actually easy. It's landing it that's hard.
Planning is that's
Yeah,
hard.
that's what I've
All that
heard.
shit's,
That
all
is
that shit's
actually the hardest
automated these
part.
days anyway.
Oh yeah, those jumbo jets fly themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I mean,
They want to
they
stay
have,
in the air.
They want to stay in the air. They just have humans there just in case,
Well,
which I
until
appreciate.
Skynet takes over and starts flying them.
Sure. Of course. Yeah. Hopefully that happens soon. I'm tired of humanity. I'm just kidding.
So Rose tells Jack to buckle up and says, "We're almost home." Jack smiles and buckles his belt. Saeed looks at a photo of Nadia as Sawyer and Hurley move their seats to the upright position. And their tray table is also locked. Jin looks at his Rolex watch and then out the window. The plane touches down and pulls safely into the gate. Police escort Charlie away first, and then the rest of the passengers stand up. Syed moves quickly to get off the plane next. Booth shakes hands with Locke before walking away. Rose and Bernard disembark, looking like a happy couple, even though he is still a dentist. Jin and Sun follow shortly, looking like an unhappy couple. Kate leaves in handcuffs with the marshal, leaving Jack and Locke as the last two passengers on the plane. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Jack shares a nod with Locke before walking off the plane. As he does, he sees two Oceanic employees bringing a wheelchair into the aircraft to help disembark the paralyzed Locke. And Desmond is nowhere to be seen. Lost title screen, end of episode. They're back. They made it home. LAX, good.
Yay.
All's well.
We did it, guys. Wow. I have little goosebumps. Never going to do another first episode again. That's cray cray.
That's right. Shit.
Shall we do some fun facts?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Today's fun facts are a deep dive into Jacob's tapestry. I've sent you guys a photo, so you can each have it on the screen now and jump in with your interpretations as well, as opposed to me just reading this to you. So, firstly, Jacob's tapestry serves as a metaphor. His work on the loom symbolizes the precise arranging he did to outwit the man in black in their centuries-long game. Balance was always essential to Jacob, and we will see that when we looking at this tapestry. So, parts of the top we've actually talked about before, but not the tapestry in its entirety. So, across the very top is a Greek lettered motto. It is the first of two quotes from Homer's Odyssey. And this one translates into, "May the gods grant thee all that thy heart desires." I mean, sure. That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Side note, did you know I could sing the Greek alphabet? Have I done that like 1,000 times on this podcast and ADHD don't remember?
I think that has happened before on this podcast. Yeah.
I don't remember.
Well, yeah, we have the same problem. Well, I learned how to sing the Greek alphabet in college.
I didn't know that was an ADHD thing. That's why I tell the same stories to people all the time, and they look at me and go, "Yeah, you've already told us that 3 times today."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
Better
mean,
dementia.
yeah, but she does that since we know her. I do the same thing. That's why when Christy and I get together, we have the same conversation over and over, and we're going to probably do that till we die, and that's fine because we have fun.
That's why you have these Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want me to sing it now? Should I?
I think you should.
You seem to want to, so
You're
might as well go ahead.
going to do it. So
I
yeah,
was
go ahead.
gauging it. I got a smart ass shit from the boys, but Christy was enthusiastic, so I'm just gonna do it. Ready?
Where's that volume button?
Oh my god. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, kappa, lambda, mu, nu, xi, omicron, pi, rho, sigma, tau, upsilon, phi, chi, psi, omega. That's what
I don't remember
Yeah.
you ever doing that before.
well,
No, you
that's
hadn't done that before.
No, okay. Well,
Maybe you did it on one. I think you've done it on one of our other podcasts. Then,
Who knows?
because I distinctly remember you doing that when I was like
yeah, I sing it
on a call with you or like this.
on a
when we were
call with me.
recording.
Okay. Well, I had to learn that when I joined a sorority, and for some reason, it sticked. It sticked.
Yeah.
Woo! All right. Anyways, I also had to learn in the sorority a tiny bit of Greek grammar, which I can teach you right now. If the Greek letter phi both follows a vowel and has nothing following it, the letter is actually pronounced phi. That's why my sorority is Alpha Phi and not Alpha Phi. And I know there's a lot of scandal out there about Alpha Phi. My chapter was not one that engaged in abuse. That was College Park. There's a whole podcast about it. Anyways, just under the Greek motto in the tapestry is the part we've discussed before. It contains a pair of wings outstretched from an encircled eye of Horus, spelled like the god, not the pedophile. And it is the Egyptian god Horus represents protection, health, and restoration. Below the eye appears to be 17 long arms emanating like rays out from the eye, and the hands at the ends of the arms are reaching for 9 human figures under that. The figures are all on their knees, reaching toward the arms. It very much looks like a worship type situation, I would say. What do you think?
Yeah.
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 I mean, yeah, definitely.
They're going to make like circus seals.
Yeah.
Circus seals.
Just chugging cock. No, yeah.
That's what that looked like.
Yeah, that's what when I first saw it, it looked like they're worshiping that eye thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's like the eye is bestowing upon them anything their hearts desire. I mean, it feels like a literal translation, a visual translation of the stuff that's Greek above. Yeah.
I like the next one better though. The next one down.
Okay. Well, so still in this one, we got a couple more things, though. So on either side, there is someone sitting on a throne observing everything that is going on. The two things we didn't discuss in a previous podcast about this particular section of the tapestry are the 2 hieroglyphics that are also on either side of it. Those hieroglyphics represent a point. It means appoint lords, lords give, or lords grant, like quite literally. But in this context, it seems to appear that the 2 people in the chairs must be lords of some sort. And they give, they grant. It feels benevolent or that these lords are benevolent. Anyways, I guess they would be if they're granting you everything.
Away.
I guess like gods can do that, or lords can do that. All right. So in the row below, there are 7 human figures, and they're dancing to the music of a lone harpist on the right. There's 4 water jugs on the floor amongst the dancers, and their arms are raised toward the sky.
Water,
They just look like they're having a blast, I think.
That harpist must be really jamming too.
Yeah.
I know, right? How do you
arms
dance
in the air? And
Like I said, they're at a concert and they're waving their hands in the air like they just don't care.
Can you imagine the harpist like throw them up? Okay. I don't know who's dropping the beat, but those people look like they're dancing to one. Below that is another line of hieroglyphics. I don't have good information on that. There weren't like a lot of translations of these that I could find, but what I could find as far as in the lore is that they do show up in other places in this season. The things that you see in this tapestry are woven in, I guess I should say, to season 6. So I'm going to try to do some follow-up on that with some more fun facts later this season. So below that is the tapestry's center, and there's another Greek motto, also from Homer's Odyssey. It translates, "May the gods grant thee happiness." The section beneath the motto is another line of hieroglyphics that I don't have translations for. But under that is another pictorial, and this one has figures laboring to harvest wheat. The row below the harvest depicts 3 heavily crewed ancient Egyptian sailboats debarking from the island. And we know it's from the island because of the piece that's torn out. Now, there's a piece missing in this scene, but we're going to talk about what the missing piece is because we've seen it. Alana found it in the cabin, and that is the piece that shows Tarouet, who is standing on the island's shore. And that's how we know it is the island depicted there. And along the bottom section are 3 clusters of hieroglyphics representing the 3 seasons of ancient Egypt: summer, winter, and inundation.
What is inundation about?
Well, let me tell you.
Rain.
This is my next sentence says, since you may have yet to hear of inundation, it commemorated.
Thank you for being so thorough.
It commemorated the rising of the Nile and the fertilization of their land. It was a season that started anew, which they called tabula rasa.
Aha.
And the seasons, the Egyptian seasons, summer, winter, and inundation, also had other names that the Egyptians used commonly, which was life, death, and rebirth.
Wait, so did the Egyptians call it tabula rasa, or did the Romans that were in Egypt call it tabula rasa? Tabula rasa is Latin. So,
yeah, it would have the Romans who were in Egypt. Yeah.
Okay.
Has to be, because that is not Egyptian. Okay, so as I mentioned before, balance is essential to Jacob, and the tapestry represents that. Look at how it's organized symmetrically from top to bottom. Starting at both the top and bottom, moving toward the center, the tapestry contains writing, followed by 2 pictorials, followed by the center, 3 lines of writing, and then, of course, you continue past the center lines again, and it repeats the pictorials, followed by more writing. The whole thing is balanced. One more thing about the languages found on the tapestry, and this is more of what kind of you were talking about, Ben. So the Greek... or not Romans, but Greek. The Greek Alexander the Great conquered, and I put like kind of quotes around that, Egypt in 332 BC, because not really. The Egyptians welcomed the Greeks as a way to overthrow the oppressive control of the Persians. Often like My Heritage, when the Lithuanians cheered and welcomed the fucking Nazis because they were fighting the Russians, and that history is bad. Worked out not as well for the Lithuanians, but in this case, it actually led to a unique blending of the cultures. Alexander the Great appointed both Greeks and Egyptians to government positions, and Egypt thrived both culturally and economically. Before long, the Egyptians proclaimed Alexander pharaoh, and he founded Alexandria, now the second largest city in Egypt and the largest city on the Mediterranean coast. It lies at the western edge of the Nile River Delta. And so the blending of those cultures on this tapestry and the history of maybe how the fuck old Jacob is, and how long visitors have been coming to this island, it's actually has some historical accuracy as to why you would see both Greek and Egyptian hieroglyphics represented on the same tapestry. And so I thought that was cool. I was going to share it with you.
Also, I think Alexander Great wasn't technically Greek. I think he was Macedonian.
You're right. Yep. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. But I was overwhelmingly, I think,
it was Greek culture that
there,
came.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so this has nothing to do with anything, but I went down an ADHD rabbit hole when I was doing the research for this. I had Googled Alexandria, Egypt, and it actually sounds like a really fucking fantastic place to go. It's best known for the Lighthouse of Alexandria, one of the 7
wonders of the 7 wonders.
One
of
the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Its great library, which is the largest in the ancient world, and they have the catacombs of Kom El Kafa, I probably said that wrong, which is one of the 7 wonders of the Middle Ages. Like, it just sounds like a fascinating city. So, yay for Alexandria. I don't know. We should go there. Not the point. Point is, I think that, what do you think about, after kind of diving deep into Jacob's Tapestry? Do you think there's more meaning to it, or do you think the show put it in there as a way to drag people down into the speculation rabbit hole?
Well, it worked on you.
Fuck. Well, I mean, I needed some fun facts.
I think it's, to me, I don't really care why they did it. They're obviously world builders. So this was just another like detail that I think they could probably do this. Then they probably had their own connections to it, and they did their own little clever things. But what those are, who really knows? Like, that's kind of the way I think about it. There's so many Easter eggs. There's so much cleverness going on throughout the show. That I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to like appreciate the attention to detail.
Well, and so, okay, then let me ask you about one of the specific details where it shows the Egyptian ships leaving the island. So do we think that is Jacob, I mean, it didn't look Egyptian, but fucking Richard Alpert could certainly does. He could pass for Egyptian, I think.
Fuck
Do
yeah.
we think the
Yeah,
Egyptians were the first to settle? They made their statue. Are they going to be a player
Well, in fact, there's
in
a
the
statue
history?
on there, yeah.
Right.
They had a big presence on the island.
This strikes me as an Exodus thing.
In what way? What do you mean?
What,
The
Moses?
ships leaving the island.
Right.
If that
It
is
does
indeed
look
the
like-
island on the left, then it looks like an Exodus, and that's where the two, the man in black and Jacob were stuck there for thousands of years, basically.
Oh, I see. So do you think that the pictorial of the exodus of the Egyptians from the island may be the point in time where it went to just the man in black and Jacob, and then the other people we know
Jacob,
come later?
Jacob would be like a Knights Templar whose entire existence over millennia was to contain this evil,
him.
right? With
Right.
the Knights Templar, it was to guard Jesus or whatever the fuck
Jesus.
they did, but the same sort of kind of
Well, the
deal where
Grail.
you have a
They're
you have
guarding
a
the
mission,
Grail, right?
Yeah, you have a mission
least
over
in-
thousands of years, and that's kind of what
Right.
that I think of when I see that. But
Okay. What did you
chose
think, Derek?
Poorly.
You chose poorly. What did you think, Derek, when you were... Did you notice the tapestry at all? Or if not, what did you think after we talked about it?
I really didn't pay that much attention to it while I was watching the show, but yeah, it's interesting, and I'm sure it does mean something, but
But what? All right, let's do some best and worst moments. Start with Christy.
Best moments, I have two. When Kate dropped Miles at the beginning of the episode and he didn't make a dirty comment.
Yes.
I really think that it shows how he's grown as a person.
Yes.
And then the look on Ben's face when he saw Lock in the Box. Well, and then right on that same vein, again, when the man in black said, "I'm sorry you had to see me like that."
Yes. You're best.
No, he wasn't.
You're worse.
Yeah.
No,
Worst.
no, you weren't.
Worst was having to go through Juliet's death again. I mean, we thought that we had already seen Juliet's death, and now we had to revisit it. And the conversation between her and Sawyer before she died, and her not being able to finish what she wanted to tell him because it was really important, apparently. And then she didn't get to say anything, and more anguish on Sawyer's part. So those are my moments.
Yeah, mine are very similar to yours. Best, I also had two moments. The first one was right in the beginning when we go underwater and there's the island, because it's just like, what in the fuck is going on here? And then I had in quotes, "I'm sorry you had to see me like that." That was intense, amazing,
Yeah.
loved it. Terry O'Quinn is killing it as the man in black. It's so cool to see him have to go through that shift and that change and like talk about his other character in the past tense. Pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, he's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, and then worst moment, Juliet dies again. Like, really, you gotta do that to me twice.
They're
but
milking it.
Yeah, that's what they're good at, and they got me twice, of course. Derek, what about you?
yeah, my best moment was Ben's reaction to Lock in the Box, but also I like the smoke monster scene. It made some quick work of those people.
Oh, indeed, the little tendrils that were just slamming him against the
Yep.
wall. It was pretty awesome. Yeah.
And then, of course, the worst moment is Juliet dying again,
Mm-hmm.
having to witness that again.
Of course. Benjamin, what do you think?
my favorite moment was Bram getting killed by the smoke monster. I
You
just,
don't like Bram?
no, I just
Even if
like
he's there
him.
to help? No? All right. I thought he was the good guy.
Yeah, I think the worst, other than having to watch Juliet die again, I think the worst was the underwater scene where the Danny Elfman music.
Oh, yeah.
It was in my top, but yeah, the music,
it was
okay.
it was so campy, but I mean, it was kind of fun, but at the same time, I was just like, it kind of like literally jumped, it kind of jumped the shark a bit, and it was funny that they did have a shark at the end of that.
They should have used the Jaws music instead.
It circled
Yeah.
the shark.
That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's me. So let's start The season 6 power rankings. I'm psyched. Derek, let's have you first. Open it up.
All right, so my third worst is Frogurt because he just is, even though he was just sleeping most of the time.
How dare he be alive?
Yeah, deserves another death by flaming arrows. Second worst was Arts because he's Arts and is annoying as fuck and wouldn't leave Hurley alone.
All right.
My worst was the Man in Black right now. I'm not a fan. You know, 'cause he
Not
did
a
kill
fan.
Jacob and his bodyguards, or I guess it's his bodyguards. My third best was Jack because he did try to save everyone but failed, or did he? Second best is Sawyer because he, had to go through that again after trying to save her again, and
I know
he didn't fail. It's just she died again. And then my best is Hurley because he just took control and he's going to save Saeed.
Indeed.
He knows where to go.
Indeed. What's your first fuck of the season?
My first fuck of the season is Cindy.
All right.
Yeah,
she looked cute.
just give me a bottle of vodka and I'll be good. And I'm going to kill Arts again. I'm going to, blow chunks of him throughout the plane.
Poor arse. Ben, how about you?
Third place, I got Frogurt. I know he was barely in the episode, but just his face being there was
Yeah, we're
enough
very
to
mad
me.
that he's alive. How dare him? How
Second,
dare him?
I've got Arzt, whatever.
Erst.
And then first, Bram. Yeah.
Why do you hate him so much? I don't get it.
Wow.
It's just my thing,
Okay.
I do not have to justify it. I just dislike him. I think he's a bad actor. I think his lines suck. I think his character sucks. So I was glad that he died.
Bye, Bram.
Bye. Third place, I've got Jack. Despite everything that happened in the episode, and despite the fact that Sawyer's like, "Oh, you killed her" and all that, he's doing what he can. In both on both sides of the of both dimensions or whatever.
Okay.
Second place, I've got Kate. She didn't really do much on one side, but on the airplane, like I was impressed with her, pickpocketing him and just sort of play. When she's in her little like, her sneakiness when she's kind of in that mode, she's kind of fun. And then tough spot, I've got Hurley just because he's taking charge, right? He's like, I'm going to save Saeed, and he believes in himself, and that's pretty awesome. I'm going to fuck Cindy, and I'm going to kill
Cindy.
Bram.
You gotta kill Bram. I do
Stake
love
through his chest.
Yeah, I do love that he kind of went like Lost Boys ending, just right like stake right in the chest. It was kind of cool. Christy, what do you got going on? You gonna put Hurley at the top and fuck Cindy too?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
So at the bottom of the bottom, I have Arzt. He's just fucking annoying as shit. And like I said, I would have been screaming at him if he was hovering over me in an airplane like that.
Right.
In second place, I have Ben because, well, we all know
Ben
how I feel
Linus?
about him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're still on the bottom.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
And at the top of the bottom, I have the Man in Black. The character is creepy as fuck. The actor is doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
At the bottom of the top, I have Sawyer for just doing anything he could do to get to Juliet and comfort her and be there with her when she died.
At least when she really died, it was in his arms and not
exactly
at the hands of a bomb, or how she didn't have every bone in her body broken at the bottom of that. I don't really know. But still, it was in his arms. That's good.
In the middle of the top, I have Richard Alpert for forcing Ben to look at Lock in a Box.
That was
also
nice.
for not fully trusting the Goon Squad, even though they knew what was in the shadow of the statue.
Mm-hmm.
And at the top of the top, I have Hurley for taking charge of getting Saeed to the temple for help.
Hurley.
Oh, shit. Is Hurley going to sweep the first episode? We'll see. Who you fucking and killing?
I am fucking Lapidus and Richard.
Ooh, hot.
And I'm killing the Man in Black.
All right. I shall go. We'll see what happens. Hurley is going to start off strong. All right. For me, third worst, I had the Marshal. There's no reason that he has to be such a fucking smartass to Kate the whole time.
Agreed.
It's very annoying. Just do your job and be professional and like stop being a dick. Second worst, I had Frogurt for being alive. And at the top of the worst, I have the bomb. Because like, what the fuck is going on? I don't want to be in this other universe. I don't know what's happening over here. This is not real. Everything's wrong. And I clearly am blaming it on the bomb. Third best, I have Sawyer for all the reasons everybody said and for being there for Juliet and just being overall great. And also for really taking me back to season 1 Sawyer in the scenes on the plane. I thought he did great. Sorry, Hurley, but I've got you second best this week. Again, for all the reasons, the mayor of Island Town, he's taking charge. He's being a badass. I love him. But at the top, I have Desmond. I'm going to tell you why. It's going to bleed a little bit into my final impressions, which will just be shorter because I'll kind of refer to this. But right now, we don't really know what's going on. We're calling these the Flash Sideways, but what's actually happening? What are we watching? Is it reality? And there are other differences, but the big, huge difference is Desmond on that plane. And so for me, he feels like the key to whatever's going on here, or if not the key, at least the starting point. And so I'm having the same reaction to him that I had when we were calling Ellie the creepy time travel lady, or back when we first met Richard Alpert. Like he feels like he's playing some really important role here, and he's the one to watch if I want to figure out what's going on. And so that's why I put him at the top. I'm going to fuck Kate in the Flash Sideways hairstyle. Good God, every time they do her hair that way, it's like, are you kidding me? And then I'm also going to have a threesome, though, with Saeed. I'm going to open the season with a threesome, and I'm afraid I'm not going to have Saeed for much longer. So I got to throw him in here in week 1. And I'm actually... What's that?
Before he bleeds out.
Yeah, exactly. Before he bleeds out, yeah. And I'm going to kill the pilot because you're not supposed to land the plane. This isn't right. And I'm mad about it. So he's a goner. All right. Ben Jammin. Hit us up. What do the rankings look like after our first episode of the last season?
Yeah, we've got third from the bottom. We've got Bram with -8 points.
That's all you, I think.
Too, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was all me.
Yep.
You might as well say in third from the bottom, I put Bram.
Yeah. Second from the bottom, we've got Arzt, -10 points. And at the bottom of the bottom, we've got the Man in Black with -13 points. All right. See, at the top, we've got a bunch of different, bunch of ties. So I guess we'll start with third. In third place, we've got a tie between what looks like Sawyer and Desmond with 5 points each.
5. Okay.
Then in second place, we've got a three-way tie. We've got looks like Cindy, Kate, and Richard Alpert.
Wow.
All with 6 points. And then already surging to a commanding lead is Hurley, the mayor of Island Town, with 18 points.
Yay for Hurley. The rest will sort itself out in the next couple of episodes. Definitely happens that way early on. Wow. So Hurley's just coming out way fucking strong. Interesting to see Cindy up there. You always get some wild cards in that first episode, I guess. But I am psyched to see how this season ends and to see how that aggregate ends as well. Yay! All right, thank you, Ben. Guys, let's do some final impressions and then let these fine folks go download episode 2. How about we start with Ben?
This episode, the first time I watched it, I was kind of like, I'm not sure about this. I couldn't really get into it. When I watched it the second time, it kind of resonated a little bit more because I think I might just not have been in the right frame of mind the first time I watched it. I think I watched on like my lunch hour or something like that. But when I watched it the second time, it seemed to resonate a little more, and I started picking up on some of the things like we were talking about earlier with Rose saying, you can let go now. Starting to see some of those things, the things that are kind of threading back and forth from these different, whatever this is, whether this is a multiverse or whatever. But I thought it was interesting, the inclusion of Desmond sort of just popping kind of almost in and out of existence in the Flash sideways. I thought was interesting. And it was kind of interesting to just see the way that they were basically taking everybody's fate and sort of twisting it within this other world. So I'm interested to see how they to be honest, how they sustain this, or whether they can sustain this, because you're dealing with characters that are just all of a sudden you've got characters that you identify as being in a certain situation, and you're kind of splitting that. And I feel like that feels like it's something that would be very difficult to sustain over a season. So I'm wondering how quickly they kind of have to kind of merge these back together.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see how you guys react to this, particularly because two of you don't remember, and one of you has never seen it, because it is controversial. It does take another step sideways, which I guess that is a good gateway into my final impression. Ben, did you have anything else to say? I don't want to just cut you off. Okay, that's what I thought. So for me, I feel like I think it's a great opener in the way that it is continuing the sort of lost tradition, right? Where there's new mysteries right off the bat. Where are we? What is going on? Is this the real thing? Is what's happening on the island real? Or like, what's the deal, right? And that's not easy to do in a closing season. Typically they're going to spend a ton of time wrapping things up, which obviously they have to do as well. And again, that's controversial too. But the fact that they've got this one storyline that's kind of wrapping up, but we have this whole other storyline that's brand new, out of left field, some mystery that we have to figure out. I think the way they crafted that was really kind of brilliant. And again, it just feels like the season it's like refreshed. There's something new for me to sit with, right? It's not time travel, or it's not the hatch, but it's now this Flash sideways. And so I really appreciate the way that they managed to write in something so fresh and new in a season that they know they're wrapping up the entire series. So that's why I appreciated it. Yeah, Christy, what did you think?
So, a little bittersweet that we are at the beginning of the end.
I know. I'm going to cry so much at the end of this podcast.
I did think it was a fantastic way to start. I did like all of the little tiny things that changed. And I remember the first time that I saw this just being blown away by the Flash sideways. Yeah. Because the Flash forwards fuck you up when those start, and then the Flash sideways happens, and you're just like, holy shit, we really have no idea where we are in time at this point. So yeah, just really excited to see how it all wraps up. I mean, I remember the end, obviously, and I remember a couple of other things, but it'll be neat to watch it all over again.
Yeah, I'm psyched. Derek, what did you think of LAX Part 1? What is your first experience with the Flash sideways?
Yeah, I actually really liked this episode. I mean, we finally got to see a Flash sideways. Just took the 6th season, but no, but they throw me off. I mean, especially when I saw the island at the bottom of the ocean, like, say what? What's going on here? And those little subtle changes, and Desmond's on the plane when he wasn't before, and the nuke obviously, or the nuke didn't work, or maybe it did. We don't know. Yeah, I got a few questions here. Who were Bram and his crew that Ben loved so much? Were they Jacob's bodyguards? Were they the good guys?
All right.
And, why in the flash sideways is the island underwater? And is the flash sideways reality or is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Are they still on the island? And finally, what is the temple that can save Saeed? What's in the temple that can save him?
That can save Saeed.
Doom.
Well,
The temple of Doom, Indiana Jones.
You do not have to wait for the answer to that last question because we're about to record the podcast that has that information. And those of you listening can go and download that in just a moment. We will make it to the temple, and it's the spring, Derek. But I know you know because you already watched. So the rest of those questions that you had, those are big ends. I mean, it's going to take the season to do it. It's going to take the series to end to do it. But I am thrilled about that. And I guess since this is episode 1, I should let you guys know kind of what we have planned. I'm sure I've mentioned stuff, but when we do get to the end of this season, we'll be doing the end part 1, the end part 2. And then after that, we're going to release some fun things for you as the show reaches its 20th anniversary. So we will be doing an episode called Lost Unanswered Mysteries. We'll talk about which questions were not answered and which were, and some of the misconceptions that people have out there about nothing was ever answered. We're also going to do Lost, What's in a Name. We're going to explore all the character names and how clever our writers and producers were when they named the characters. We're also going to do Lost chronologically. So we're going to sit down, we're going to power through the show in chronological order and see what that does to our perception of it. And then after that, you're going to get final impressions. And we're going to talk about the whole show and every special episode we just did there and get our real, true, final, comprehensive opinion on the show. And some of us will mount a defense for the finale. That's not now.
I have an episode request.
Ooh, what's that?
A whole episode on Gilgamesh.
Well, sure.
2
Yeah.
hours of Gilgamesh. Just read it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be okay. Fine. Another bonus episode. We'll have that come out. I will slowly read every stone of Gilgamesh.
I don't think I'm available that day.
Yeah. I gotta get a
I'm
root
out,
canal or
y'all.
something. Yeah.
Well,
I didn't
thanks.
sign
I
up
need a
for that.
colonoscopy. Yeah.
Oh my God. Thanks for ending it on a high note, you bastard. The rest of you out there we love, turn this podcast off and go and download episode 2, please. So you can hear us discussing Oceanic Flight 815's landing at LAX. And we're going to go to the temple. Go download it now. Woo-hoo. It's great to be back. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Lost in My 40s is a Space Bear Media production. Executive produced and edited by me, Lacey J. Sound engineering, editing, and original music by Benjamin Trimp. Like and follow Lost in My 40s on Facebook and SpaceBear_Media on Instagram and Threads. Plus, follow Space Bear Media on YouTube for extra video content. Or for everything in one place, go to SpaceBearMedia.com.